So before Christmas, the church noticed that Ofsted had issued an urgent notification letter to the Ministry of Justice and Secretary of State, giving them 28 days notice to rectify the situations at Rainsbrook, which included locking children up for 23.5 hours a day. That's why we wrote to them giving them 14 days notice, otherwise we'd take them to the High Court. Within England and Wales, there's been many reports dating back from the 1970s onwards outlining abuse, including long-term incarceration of children in solitary confinement. All of those reports have said that that's wrong, and we thought it was a practice for the history books, and were disgusted to find it still taking place in institutions today. So I think there's two things. Many people would say actually they're in there for a reason, and my response to that is twofold. Firstly, that's irrelevant. It's either lawful to lock children up for 23.5 hours a day, or it's not. And actually that's what needs to be demonstrated by the government. And the second thing is simply this: the Prison Reform Act clearly sets out that prison is not punishment, it's the deprivation of liberty which is the punishment, and their sole purpose is that of rehabilitation. You fundamentally cannot rehabilitate children when they're locked in a room for 23.5 hours a day. So I have got a background in juvenile justice, and I've worked in secure training centres for 10 years of my working life. We've also got a human rights barrister as part of the church, and a former Crown Prosecution Service prosecutor, and all of us take the stance that actually we've got specialist skills and knowledge, and we need to use them and use them wisely. So actually, yes, a pandemic does cause significant issues for a closed institution, but there are ways of dealing with it which don't include locking children up for this amount of time. It's a centre that provides a national service, including working with children from the southeast and people from Medway and Kent. And that's why it's important that no matter where vulnerable children are, the church always stands up for them. And actually there's been a theological question that's existed back to Jesus' time of who is my neighbour, and fundamentally these children are our neighbours. So many people have contacted us thanking us for taking the action and standing up for these vulnerable children in our society, and people have been surprised but welcoming that the actual church has taken the stance to stand up against the government on this issue.